Hey everyone, thanks for learning to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I'm going to be playing through the first act in Slay the Spire. This is a brand new game by Contention games. It is a 1 to 4 player game that takes roughly 1 to 2 hours to play, and is a fully cooperative game where all the players are working together to make it through the act and defeat the boss at the end. So in this video I'm going to be playing through this first act, taking on one of the random bosses, and I'm going to be playing two different characters. I have Defect and Ironclad, and we'll see if I'm able to make it through and survive and defeat the boss that I'm going to be facing. So as always, if you find my videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we continue to grow and be able to produce this content. If you want to get notified anytime I drop new videos, as I'm constantly dropping new playthroughs, teaching videos, crowdfunding videos, and others, hit that notification bell and that'll alert you whenever I drop new stuff. Before I get into it, also let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see anything else around this one. If you want to see a full teaching video or whatnot, I'd love to hear from you and start a conversation in the comments below. So let's go ahead and head to the table and we'll see how this one plays. So getting into the game, again, I have chosen two different characters. I have Defect and Ironclad. And with each of the characters, I already drew the Niaos, blessings, and I'll go over those real quick. So first off, with Defect here, I chose the Darkness, and I chose the upgrade card, so I upgraded that card to its upgraded side already. So this one's going to cost me 0, and it's going to let me channel 1 dark cube into my area. And this will be added to my hands. And then on the other side, with Ironclad, I took the Metallicize, and this one says at the end of my turn, I get a block. And then I chose the 3 potions, which I didn't pull great ones. I have one that lets me draw 3 cards. I can remove all of the Broken Sword and Broken Heart from my character, and I can change the die to any number before accepting the roll. So that'll also be added to my hands. And that is the last step we have to do before moving into the game. So at the beginning of Act 1, I'm going to be facing my first encounter, which is a special set of cards. So I'll be handling that. And in the video, I'm going to try to explain as much as possible. A couple important notes with this is, first off, I've never actually played Slay the Spire, the board or the video game. So I am not familiar with any of that. So I do apologize if I reference certain things or I say certain things that are incorrect as far as that's concerned, as I am not familiar with the video game. But maybe I'll check it out. This is a pretty fun game so far, so I may check out the video game and see what that's all about. The other thing is, this is my second playthrough, so I'm still working my way through some of the rules, so I might reference some of those, but it also will help as I will explain a lot of what is going on and how the turn sequence and all that works. Now, I am going to be playing through some of the beginning turns, middle turns, and end turns, and breaking some of the things down. I will try to cover at least one of every different type of turn that I go through, but overall, I will be cutting out a little bit just to cut down on the video's time a little bit. All right, so moving into the first encounter that I have my little boot on down here, I am going to draw 1 first encounter card per player and place that to the one side of each of the players. So it'll go on their right side. All right, so first off, I have a Cultist, and the Ironclad is going to be facing a red loose. And this is going to add a green one as well, and that's going to come from the summoned enemies. Thinking about maybe making some sort of a organizer for these that can hold them and keep them separated, because it's kind of a hassle having to pull these all the time. And if there's multiples of the same type, you can shuffle those and randomly pull one. All right, then I'm going to add some health tokens to these guys. So he starts off with 9, and this guy's got 3 and 3. Okay. So now that I have that out, I'm ready to move into the round sequence. So first off, it's going to go into the player's turns. So you're going to handle any start of turn effects, which at the start of a combat, the Defect does start with a channeling lightning. So I'll add a lightning cube in there. And each one of these cubes is going to have different effects, including at the end of his turn and when he invokes them. So I'll cover that as that happens. And then Ironclad does not have a beginning of turn effect. His is end of combat, so he'll get to heal 1 at the end of each combat. So next, I'm going to reset my energy to 3 and my block to 0 on both of my characters. And then each one of my characters is going to draw 5 cards to be their starting hand. So I'll handle that. Okay. After that, you're going to roll the die, and that's going to determine some of the enemy's abilities and what they're going to be doing during their turn. And I rolled a 6. So again, then my character does have that Gambler's Brew, so he can change the number if he wanted to, but it's a 1 use only. So I'm going to leave it there. He does have a couple of damage coming his way, but we'll see how this works out. Okay, so from there, then you're going to start or move into the play sequence. So with the play sequence, our players can discuss what they're going to do and then carry out by playing cards and spending energy to do so. So with my defect here, I have a couple of options. Ooh, all right, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with dual cast. This one is going to cost me 1 energy, so I'll move my energy down by 1. And this one says I get to invoke 1 orb twice. So with the lightning, if I invoke it, it's going to deal 2 damage. It's the only cube that I have right now, so I'm going to invoke it twice. So it's going to do a total of 4 damage, and then it's going to be removed. So he's down to 5 hit points left now. That was pretty good. And then I am going to go ahead and do a strike. And I'm going to do it on this green loose down there. And then because the first time the loose takes damage, it gets 2 block. So it's going to add 2 block there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a defect, or defend, sorry. And I get a block out of that. All right, so that is all his turn. And this is happening simultaneously. So all the players get to do their stuff simultaneously. So I could have done a couple things with him and moved over and handled the Ironclad and then gone back. So you can play these in any way you want to. And again, each player normally is going to be controlling one of these characters. So, like I said, at the end of his turn now, you would trigger any of his effects. And again, this will happen later on. So I'll go ahead and skip that for now, and we'll come back to it. All right, so then the Ironclad is going to go. So, ooh, I got some good stuff here. So he's going to take some hits. I'm going to go ahead and do Metallicize, and that's going to cost me 1, and that's going to be added to this area here. So I'm going to just move these over, and that's a power. So now that's going to add an end of turn effect. And then I am going to, so I do have bash, which could be useful. Or I could do a defend. I'm going to be taking some damage here, unless I defend at all. Well, yeah, I guess let's go ahead and play it safe for now. So I'm going to spend 2 energy to do 2 defends, and that's going to get me 2 block. All right, so then all this is going to be added to my discard pile, including any cards that I didn't use. And same with the defect. And then at the end of the turn now, you handle end of turn effects. So the defect doesn't have any crystals in there right now, or energy cubes. So he doesn't trigger any of his end of turn effects. And the Ironclad does have that, so he's going to get another block. All right, so then it's going to move into the enemy turn. So first, the enemy is going to remove any block that it has. So that guy loses his block. And then the enemy are going to take their actions. So this guy is going to attack for 1. So I block it, but he does get a strength cube, or a token. So next time when he hits, it's +1 damage. And then we'll handle these guys. So it's going to work its way over. So the first one on a 6 does 1 damage to Ironclad. And the other guy does 2 damage to the Ironclad. So he lost all of his block, which is okay, because that gets reset anyways at the end of or beginning of each player turn. All right, so that is the end of the round, and there are no cubes. Sometimes enemies will have different things that are going to be done, and you'll see this later on, and you'll have cubes that'll keep track of what their current thing is as opposed to the die. And then we're ready to move into the next round. So each of our players, again, is going to start by drawing 5 cards. 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get our 3 energy back and block to 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right. And then we're going to roll the die. It's a 4. Okay. And then we're start of turn abilities now. Neither one of our characters has any start of turn abilities. So moving into my characters. All right, so this time this guy's going to do 2 damage, and he's going to do a break. So I'm going to go ahead and do a defend to gain 1 block, and then I'm going to do 2 strikes. So that'll be my 3, and I'm going to do it on this guy. So 1, 2, that will eliminate that guy. I'll just place him off to the side for the moment. And then these 2 can be discarded as I don't have any energy left. So then it's going to move over, and the defect's going to go and do his thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do a zap, which lets me channel a lightning. So I get to add a lightning in there. And I will go ahead and do a defend. And what do I want to do now? I'm going to do another defend. That way I can get a couple of block and not take any damage. All right, that is the end of both of our characters' turns. So then you trigger end of turn effects. So he's going to get a block from that, and the lightning is going to do end of turn. It's going to deal 1 damage. So I'm going to do it on, this guy here, and it doesn't trigger his thing because it's direct damage and it's not an attack. Oh, it takes damage, so he would get it this time. That's okay. That actually works out, because then he's going to lose it right away as it moves into the enemy turn. And then the enemies are going to carry out their actions. So he's going to do 1 damage plus the strength, which adds an additional damage to it. So he's taken 2, but he blocks both. And then on the Ironclad, he's going to take 2 as well, but he blocks both of that. So both of our characters have been managing pretty well so far. All right. All right, and then I add another strength token to him. So he just continues to build over time. Okay, so then we'll draw. So start a turn, and then these get shuffled up as we are out of cards to draw. All right, there's 5. And he gets this one. Each of our characters can reset their stuff. Okay. And we're back into a new turn. So my guy here, I'm going to go ahead and do the bash. Oh, I forgot to roll to see what our guys are going to do. All right, it's back to a 4. Okay. So I'm going to do a bash, and I'm going to attack this guy up here. So this is going to cost me 2. It's going to do 2 damage to him, and it's going to put a broken heart token on him. 1, 2. All right, so he's down to 3. And then other than that, I just have defends and strikes. So I guess I will play a defend to get a block. All right, back over to defect. I have the darkness cube, so I'm going to do that. That's a free action, so I get to place a darkness cube in there. And then, oh yeah, so I have the dual cast. I'm going to invoke that twice. So it's going to do 3 damage, and then it does +1 for each power you have in play. I don't have any powers in play currently, but it's going to do a total of 6 damage. So it's going to go ahead and hit this guy, 1, 2, 3. And I'll hit this guy as well, 1, 2. So they're both gone. And that will finish off that combat. I'll go ahead and clear all these tokens. And if my characters had any tokens, they would also be cleared at this point. So this will all be discarded. And then I do also remove the one other cube that I had there, as I don't get to take those in, or from combat to combat. These get reset, and this will all get reshuffled. So I'm just going to keep this over here, as we're going to have rewards. That's going to change some of this as well. So there's no point in shuffling at the moment. All right, so starting off with the defect, I get a coin to add to my area, and I also get a new card. So he's going to draw 3 cards. He gets to choose one of these to add to his hand. So I have Recursion. This is going to let me invoke an orb and channel the orb that was just invoked. That's pretty good. I have Hologram. It gives me a block, and then I put a card from my discard pile into my hand, and then this card gets exhausted. Or I have Compile Driver, and this one is a 1 attack, and draw a card from each type of orb for each type of orb you have. I think I'm going to do the recursion. That sounds really good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. These are going to be added to the bottom of my stack. All right, and then these can be shuffled up, as there's nothing. I've handled all I can do for that guy. And the other guy is also going to do the same thing. So I get a coin for killing him, and I get to choose a card. Okay, so I have Sever Soul. This is 3 damage, exhaust 1 card in your hand. I have Flex. I get to gain a strength, lose that strength at the end of the turn. And that's a free card. Or I can have block 2 and draw a card. So do I go defensive or offensive? I think that Sever Soul is pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. Again, these will be added to the bottom of the pile, and then this will be shuffled up. All right, so at this point then, these first encounter cards can be discarded, and you can return the rest to the boxes. You're not going to be using them for the rest of this game. And then any of the summon cards you had out can be returned to the summon pile, as you will continue to use those throughout the adventure. So let me go ahead and add him back in. Okay. All right, so from there, now that combat is over, we're going to move our boot into one of the next rows. So each one of these is just an event, so I get to choose which way I go. I could go this way and get 2 events, and then start working my way through that. Make my way through this, and then go to the merchant, which could be useful. So yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to go there. So I'm going to draw a card here. So this is Big Fish. Objects float before you. Which do you choose? Each player chooses a different option. So you have the banana. I can heal 2. None of our players have taken any damage. The donut, upgrade a starter strike. The box, I get to gain a relic, and I also gain a curse. Oof. Or I can remove a starter strike with restraint. Well, I think on his side, I'm going to upgrade a strike. So I flip over one of the strikes to its upgraded side. And that means that the other guy, I can either gain a curse or a relic and a curse, which I don't really like, or I can remove a starter strike, start working on thinning his deck a little bit. I think I will do that. So there's one right on the bottom there, so that works out. All right, so his starter strike is gone. One of his is. And then this can be just discarded. Okay, so then I'm again moving, so I have to go this way this time. So now I'm going to have another encounter. So let's go ahead and set that up. So with the encounters, I'm going to draw 1 card from the regular encounter deck. So we have a looter and we have a mad goblin. Ooh. So the mad goblin is going to summon 3 random goblins from there. So pull out those guys. All right, so there's 2. So we have another mad goblin and a sneaky goblin and a goblin wizard. Oof. Okay, so he is going to charge up, and then I also have to add health tokens. So Defect is going to be doing some work here. Okay, and then the other guy also has some nasty stuff with him, so I can't let him go too far either. So he's going to start off by doing some damage, and then he gets to steal from him. Okay, so that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So our players are going to reset their things, and then they get their starting stuff. So the Defect will start with the lightning. And I've got my stuff set, and then each player draws 5 cards. And we get to start our turns. So let's see what I have on my one side here. So I do have, oh man, I have both of those things. Well, I definitely want to have this activated, as that's really handy. And I am going to do the Sever Soul. It costs 2, and it is going to do 3 damage, and I have to exhaust the card in my hand, so I'll exhaust a strike. Yeah. So I'm going to do 3 damage to something. And I can target my row or one of my other players' rows to help him out. So, I mean, that could be, he's got a lot of stuff going on there. So that could be helpful to him. I also don't want my guy going too long though. So 1, 2, 3. So there's that. And that's all I can do. So my other 2 cards are discarded. And, oh, well, I didn't roll the die, but nobody has any die effects, so I really don't have to worry about that this time. Okay, so then moving over to the other guy, I'm going to go ahead and do a zap. Lets me channel a lightning. And then I'm going to go ahead and do 2 defend to get 2 block. All right, and then the other 2 cards are going to be discarded. So I didn't really do much with him. And then at the end of his turn, he's going to he's going to trigger both of the end of turn effects. So I'm going to deal 2 damage. So I'm going to hit this sneaky goblin and eliminate him. All right, so at least that will help a little bit. Okay, so that is the end of our turns. And then it's going to move into the enemy turn. So enemies remove block, which they don't have any. And then they're going to trigger their effects. So this guy is going to deal 1 damage. And this guy's going to deal 1 damage. And that guy doesn't do anything. So 2 damage, I get to block both of that. And then on this guy's side, he's going to do 2 damage to me. I get the 1 from that, so I'm going to take 1 damage from him. All right, and then after all the enemies activate, I'm going to move their action cubes down. So the wizard goblin now, or the goblin wizard, if he is not defeated, he's going to do 3 damage to both players consistently every turn. Oof, that's bad. Okay, so now we're going to start a new round, so we each draw our cards. Okay, and we get our energy back. All right, so I got my bonus strike there. All right, and what is the other player looking like here? So I can do some decent damage. Okay, so I'm going to start off with darkness. That's going to let me channel a dark cube. And then I'm going to spend this to dual cast. So I'm going to dual cast the darkness twice. So it's doing 6 damage. So I'm going to do it to this guy here. So he's got 1, 2, 3. So he's got 1 health left. And I will do it to the looter. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then I've got 2 energy left. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 block. 1, 2. And then this will be discarded. From there, then my other character has some stuff that he can do. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with Strike Plus. So that's 1 energy. It's going to do 2 damage. And I'm going to do it to this guy here. And then so Looter's going to be eliminated. Well, only if okay. All right, so I think this will work. So I'm going to go ahead and do Bash. It's going to cost me my last 2. And that's going to be on this guy, so he's going to do 2 damage to him. And he gets a heart placed on him. Broken heart. And that will take care of that. And that is all I can do, so these will be discarded. And then we trigger end of turn effects, and then he also gets a strength token for taking damage. So end of turn effects, I get 1 block from that. And then over to the defect, I get to do 1 damage each. I think that's going to, I don't think that's going to work though. Okay. So yeah, he is still working, or still alive. Even if I do 1 damage on each, so I can either take him out. Nope. I need to stick to my original plan. So I'm going to take out the Goblin Wizard. So he's gone with 1 damage. And then the Looter is going to go with the 2nd damage. So I'm just going to flip him over to represent that he's been defeated. All right. So then unfortunately, this guy is going to take 3 damage. He's going to take 2 from him and 1 from him. So I don't have any block right now. So I'm down to 6. So that was not good. All right, and then there's no cubes to move down at this point, so then each of our players will draw to start a new round. I probably should have double-checked that before I did that big attack, because that's added an extra damage onto my defect that I could have probably avoided there. All right, so there's 4. And then over to my other character, I get 2. And he's going to get some more. Okay, so then I get my energy back on both players. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 3. All right, moving back into it. Again, there's no point in rolling because there's nothing that triggers that effect. So let's see what we can do here. So I got Sever Soul, okay. So I'm going to spend 2 to do that. I have to exhaust the card in my hand. I'm going to do the Defend. It's going to do 3 damage to something. So I'm going to do 3. 1, 2, 3 onto him. And then I'll do a Strike onto this guy who has the Broken Heart. So, and then that would go away. So the Broken Heart is going to be removed anytime there's an actual like sword attack from it. So since this is just straight damage, it wouldn't have triggered that to be removed. And that's why I was a little concerned with that, as that I wasn't able to get him with my charges there. All right, these are going to be discarded. All right, on to the other character. Oh, now I get all the good stuff. Oh, I have dual cast, darkness, and recursion. That is brutal. Okay, so I mean this is going to be just absolutely overkill. So I'll do the darkness to get the darkness cube, and then the dual cast, and he's gone. Okay, so that is the end of that combat. So we'll just go ahead and remove all this. Gets his back, that gets reset. These get to go back. And we get our rewards. We add these goblins back to the bottom of the stack there. So with Defect, he is going to receive 2 coins. And he also gets a card. 1, 2, and 3. So I have Steam Barrier. This one gives me a block, +1 block if the top card of your discard pile costs 0. Go for the Eyes. This one is, it's going to be affected by the die roll. It's either going to be 1 damage or it's going to be 1 damage and a broken sword. That's really good. Or I can do Recursion again. Oh man, that is a tough choice there. They're both really good. I'm going to go for the Eyes, though. I think that is the Recursion probably was the better choice, but I think I like to have some different options out there too. And that's a free card, so that's pretty handy to have. All right. And then the other character is going to get a potion. And this is a Fairy in a Bottle. When your HP becomes 0, instead set your HP to 2 and discard this item. So I'm going to go ahead and give that over to him. As I am full, I can only have 3 items, and then I get a new card. All right, so I have True Grit. I have Clothesline, which is 3 damage and a thing. And then I have the Golden Ticket. So I draw a card, a gold card for that, a rare card. Wow, that's a 7 damage. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely taking that. There's no question there. It costs 3, but it is definitely good. And then this all goes to the bottom of the deck. Okay. Then we can shuffle these up. And the next thing I'm going to is either an event or the merchants, which at this point, I might want to go to the merchant and see if I can pick up some new stuff. That would be good. Okay. So before I do all the shuffling, let's go ahead and go to the merchants. All right, so then this is going to get flipped over. I'll add these guys to the bottom of that stack, and then I get to populate this. So first off, treasure, we have the Mummified Hand. Once per combat, gain 2 if you played a power this turn. That is 10. Whew. Then I have the Necronomicon. It's on a 1. The next attack you play this turn is played twice. That one's 9 as well. Whew. And the Gambling Chip, once per room, re-roll the die. Okay. And then we have potions. So on the potion side, we have an attack potion that's 2, a fire potion, deal 4 damage, or an explosive potion, deal 2 damage to any row. Okay, and then each of our players reveals 3 cards that they can purchase for cost. Ooh, some good cards here. All right, we have Leap. Glacier. Okay. So, and then the cost for those cards is either 2 for a common or 3 for a rare or uncommon. Can't remember what the blue was. The blue are uncommon. So it's the gray are common, uncommon, and then the yellows are rare. Okay. So with Ironclad, I have 4 coins. I can also choose to spend 3 to remove a card from my hand. And this guy got lucky. He ended up picking up 6 coins. So I've got some choices to make here. So we could pool all of our dice together to get one of the superpowered cards, but only one of us would get it. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by spending 2. And I'm going to buy this Ball Lightning. So this lets me do 1 damage, and then I channel 1 lightning. So that can be anything that gets me extra cubes can be very helpful. All right, and then I'm down to 4. And I've got 4 over here. I definitely like that Seeing Red card. So that will be one that I want to add. And we're down to 6. All right. So at this point, I do have that one. Let's me Channel Frost. That would cost 3. But I'm going to go ahead and give this player a coin from this player, and then each of us are going to spend 3 to remove a card from our decks. So on Glacier's side, I'm going to remove a Defend this time. These can be tossed as I don't have any more coins. And then on this guy's side, same thing. I'm going to discard those. And I'm going to get rid of Defend, I think. Okay. So then we can shuffle up. And then all of this stuff can be discarded as I did not purchase anything. There's some really good potions there. I was very tempted, but gotta make some choices. And these relic cards were really nice as well. It would have been great to have one of those, but we would have. It's a little early to be popping all of the gold for one of those. Okay, and then we're going to be moving on to the next room. All right, so this is going to be a tough one. I can either go and fight a bigger enemy for a potential bigger reward, or I can continue on with the little guys. I think for right now I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to go after another regular encounter and not go with a big encounter just yet, because I have another one coming up that I could get for the bonuses there. All right, so that is that one. So I'm going to go ahead and handle that. So first off, we have some cards. Let's see what our guys are going up against. So I have a large slime and a red loose. So he's going to add another green and a red as well. So I'll shuffle these up. Okay. So he's going to have 8 hit points. He starts by doing 1 damage to everybody. 3, 3, and 3. All right, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and play this combat off camera, and then we'll be back a little bit later in the video to see how our players are doing. All right, so after a couple of rounds, we're ready to move back in, and I've chosen to face an elite enemy, so we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to draw the top card of the elite deck, and it's a Lagavin. And this enemy is going to go in the first row and is going to have 44 hit points for the 2 heroes. Oof. All right, so I got to chew through all of that. And it starts off asleep, but then ramps up and starts doing some serious damage to both players. So hopefully I'll be able to handle this quick. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so starting off with the player turns, I'm going to draw my 5 cards. And he starts with a lightning charge. And the other player, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he rolls. Let's see what happens here. It's a 5. All right, so I'm going to gain an energy for the 5 that was rolled. All right, so moving into my player turns, I'll go ahead and start with Defect here to see what I've got. Okay, not bad, not bad. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do Doom and Gloom. So that's going to do 2 damage to him. And it's going to channel a dark cube. And then it's a 5, so I'm going to go for the eyes. So that does 1 damage, and it's going to add a broken sword. And then I will do a zap, which adds a lightning charge in there as well. And that's pretty much all I can do for the moment. So then it's going to be over to Ironclad to go. Okay. So let's do this one here. So that's Seeing Red. It's going to cost me 1, but then I gain 2, so I'm up to 5. And I'm going to do Metalize to give me a bonus at the end of the turn. And then I'm going to do this one. Whoop, wrong spot. It's going to cost me another 1 to do a 2 striker. 1, 2. So he's down to 39. And then I'm going to do the Sever Soul. It's going to cost me 2. And it's going to deal 3. 1, 2, 3 damage to him. And I have to exhaust the card in my hand, so I'll go ahead and exhaust that strike. And that is my turn. All right, so then it's going to go to end of turn effects. So I would gain a block, which is going to be wasted because he's not going to attack this turn. And I do 2 damage with the lightning charges. So I've gotten 10 hit points done on him. That's terrible. Moves into the enemy's turn, so he's going to just ramp up because he was sleeping this turn. So next turn now he's going to be doing 4 damage to each of us. So hopefully I'll be able to get some more stuff going on here. All right, so there's my 5 cards there. And I need 5 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I get my 3 energy back. Good there. Roll the die. Is a 6. So a 6 doesn't benefit either one of us. I'm going to spend this Gambler's Brew to change that number to a 5. That way I get an extra energy, which will hopefully be helpful this time. And let's go ahead and get into it. So first off, my player, ooh, I've got the big one, the Bludgeoned. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that's going to deal 7 to him. That's going to cost me 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's down to 27. And I better spend 1 to defend. So I get to add 1 there. Okay, and then these will be discarded as I don't have anything else at the moment. And then on to my other player here. Ooh, I got dual cast. All right, so I'm going to be able to do some good stuff this time. All right, so this will be fun to do. All right, so first off, I'm going to start with dual cast. This one's going to let me invoke an orb twice, so I'm going to do the dark orb twice. That's going to do 6 damage to him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to go ahead and do Darkness, which is a free card. It's going to channel a dark in there. Then I'm going to do Claw. This one does 1 damage, and it does +1 damage if the topmost card in your discard pile costs 0, which it does. So it'll do 2 damage. 1, 2. So he's down to 19. And then I'm going to do Recursion, which is another 0 cost card. It lets me invoke an orb. So I'm going to do a Darkness, and I channel it back in. So I'm doing 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And I will do a Defend, which costs me 1, and I get 1 there. And then I'm going to spend this Brew. Lets me get 2 more potion cards. 1, 2. Ooh, 2 black potions. All right, and I'm just going to use those right away. So I get 2 for my guy, and I'm going to use it 2 for the other guy. So we're both at 3 block, and he's going to be doing 3 damage to each of us this time, so that's good. I don't have anything else, so end of turn, I'm going to do 2 more damage. So Defect, man, he was slicing him up there. He's down to 14 health. And he's going to do 4 damage to each of us minus that, so he'll do 3 damage to each of us. And neither one of us take any damage. That was super helpful. All right, that is into the round. So starting a new round, 1, 2, 3, 4. Get to shuffle these back up. And my players are making their way through it here. We'll see how this all turns out. I need 14 more damage, and this is going to tick up. So he's doing 4 again across the board. And my last card there. My other player, 1, 2, 3. These are all shuffled back in. It's a small hand, so I might get that bludgeon again. That'd be great. Just do another big old 7 to him. Okay, we got 3, 4, 5. All right, so then we're rolling to see what happens. It's another 6, and nobody gets anything this time, and I don't have any way to change it. All right, so I want to go ahead and start with Defect. And, ooh, yeah, he's going to pretty much toast him here. So, Recursion lets me channel, so I'm going to do a Darkness to do 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and do Ball Lightning. This does 1 damage to him. And then also channels a Lightning, so I have to choose one to replace. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Darkness. And that's going to do 3 more to him. 1, 2, 3, so he's down to 7 hit points. And that one cost me 1. The first one was free. So I'll do a strike on him to bring him down to 6, and I will do a defend to get 1 defense. And we'll see if that pays off. And I'm going to do 3 damage to him at the end of the round, so he's at 6. So my other player only needs to do 3 damage. And, oh man, I got Bash that does 4 damage and gives him a heart. A broken heart, and then this I have bludgeon again, so I'm just going to do the bludgeon and do 7 damage to him. So the epic smash for the final killing blow. All right, so I'll just add that stuff over there, and his stuff comes off. I was able to tear that guy up pretty good there. So rewards, what do our players get? So we're each going to get 2 coins, so that's good. So 2 and 2. We each get a relic card. So first off, I have the boot. This one is on a 4, 5, or 6, I deal damage. Okay. And then my other player gets Ninja Scroll. Once per combat, 2 1-point attacks, and treat each attack as a separate 0-cost attack. Okay, so pretty good. Hopefully it'll be helpful. All right, and then we each get a new upgrade or upgraded card. All right, so I have Scrape. It's 2 damage. If the topmost card of your discard pile costs 0, return it to your hand. Okay, that's pretty good. I have another Ball Lightning and the Meddler. First, remove all block from a target and then deal 2 damage. Man, that's a tough... These are all good cards. I mean, the Meddler would be great against some of those guys that have... I'm going to go ahead and do that. I just think that's going to be a good choice. So I'm going to take that one. All right, on the other player's side, I have Shrug It Off. It's a 2-block, draw a card. 1 block to any player, exhaust a card in your hand. Or Spot Weakness, strength to any player if the die is on a 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to do the Spot Weakness. Okay. So that's all of that, and that's all the rewards that I needed to handle. So then it is on to the Campfire. So during Campfire, each player could either heal 3 or upgrade one of their cards. My player here definitely wants to heal 3, and I forgot I get to heal 1 at the end of that combat. And I'm going to upgrade a card. So the question is, what do I want to upgrade? Sever Soul, I think would probably be a good one. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do Sever Soul. That's a 4 damage now, and I get to exhaust 1 or 2 cards in my hands. That really could thin out my deck to be able to do some good stuff. Okay, so I can shuffle this up. Okay, there's that. And I'll shuffle his as well, as I don't have anything else at the moment. So I have a choice now. I could go and do a couple of events, or I could go and challenge some more enemies. I think getting some more rewards before, and then I also get to go to the merchant too. So I think that might be the better path. So I think I'll do that. So I'm off to that room there. All right, so I have two guys I'm going to face him. He's got a sneaky goblin and a blue slaver. Okay, so the sneaky goblin is going to come with some additional enemies. I get 3 additional enemies here. Let's see what he comes with. All right, so we have the fat goblin, another fat goblin, and a mad goblin. Okay. We'll add some health tokens here. So he's going to have 2, 3, 3, and 5. And he's got 10. Brutal. All right, so moving into the combat, I get 5. I also have to clear these, but I do start with 1. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And rolling the die. It's a 3. All right, so the 3 triggers here. He gets to draw 3 more cards to start this combat. And nothing else triggers. So he's going to be doing 3 damage this turn. Ouch. Okay, let's see what my characters have here. All right, so unfortunately I didn't get the big one. But I get to do that. So that's going to get me an extra one because I have to spend 1. I get another one. I don't know, might be a time to pop to draw the 3 cards. So if I can get that bludgeon, last card. Oh, so close. Okay. Could have been super helpful. But I do have a couple of other good cards, so that's all right. This will work out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the bash. So this is going to let me do 4 damage and a broken heart. So I'll do it there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll do Sever Soul. That's also 2. So that'll use up all of my energy. And that's going to finish this guy off completely because he doubles the attack on that. So he has been taken care of. So now my guy over there doesn't have to worry about any damage from that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do once per combat. I get to do 2 1-point attacks. Each one of these guys does some nasty damage here, but I'm going to go ahead and take out the sneaky goblin as he does 2 damage right off the bat. Okay. And then I get to exhaust 1 or 2 cards from my hands. So I'm going to just do 2 of the 1-point strikes. I'll do 1 1-point and 1 defense. That'll thin that out for the next round. All right, so let's see what Defect has to say about this. Let's see if I can do some stuff here. All right, so I have Go for the Eyes. That is going to do 1 damage to one of the enemies. So I'm going to go after this fat goblin there. Okay, and then I have... Okay, so I'm going to do Ball Lightning. It's going to be 1, and it's going to do 1 damage and Channel Lightning. So there's that. Actually, I'm going to do it on this guy, as this next thing's going to be bigger for me. Okay, and then I'm going to do this one here. So that is going to cost me 2 points. I shouldn't have any block right now. It's going to do 2 damage across the board, so both of these fat goblins are eliminated. Okay. And the mad goblin takes 2, but will gain a strength. So he is going to do a couple damage there. And I get to channel that. I don't have any other 0-cost cards, otherwise I could have taken him out. But that's all I can do. So I'm going to do 2 more damage to him. 1, 2, so he's only got 1 hit point left. And those 2 damage do not add strength to it whenever this enemy takes damage from an attack. Okay, so that is everything I can do, because I did the ninja scroll already. Right? Yeah, pretty sure I did. All right, so he's going to take 2 damage, as there's nothing else I can do about that. And then it's a new round of combat, which, I mean, at this point, I'm going to, no matter what I do here, he's going to go down. Oh, yeah. He's got tons of options there, and he's definitely going to have his probably big hit as well. Yep. So this guy's going to get roasted there during that. So go ahead and clean these up real quick. And remove all this. And I'll get 1 health back at the end of the combat. Okay, so now rewards. All right, so the defect gets 2 coins and a card. 1, 2, 3. Oh, capacitor, 2 more orbs. Beam call, that's also good. And claw. I think the capacitor is going to be helpful. So that's that. All right, and then he's going to get 1 coin. And he gets a potion. Ooh, gain 2 energy. All right. And he gets a card. So I have Wild Strike, Sentinel, or Cleave. I don't really have a lot of multi-damage cards, so I'm going to go ahead and go with Cleave. And these 2 are going to go away. All right. That takes care of the enemies. I'll add these back into the summon pile. Let's move it on. So we are into another merchant. So for the merchant, we'll do potions first. We have Flex Potion, gain strength, lose that strength at the end of the turn. Distilled Chaos, draw 3 cards, immediately play them in any order for 0 energy. Wow. And deal 4 damage. Some good cards there. And then I have Oddly Smooth Stone. This is going to cost 6 gold. It's on a 4, 2 block to any player. Captain's Wheel is 3 block, or on a 3, it's 3 block. And the final card is an ink bottle. And on a 5 and a 6, the draw a card. Okay, then each player gets to reveal 3. So I have, Seeing Red, Battle Trance, and Heavy Blade. Ooh, those are good. And then on the other side, I have Charge Battery, Cold Snap, 2 damage, and Channel of Frost, and Scrape again. All right, my players have, he has 6 coins. My other player has 4. Well, going into the boss battle, that Distilled Chaos could be absolutely extremely helpful, especially if I go a round or so just to kind of thin out my deck first of cheap cards. It could be pretty good. But I'd need help to buy both, because I'd like to get the other Seeing Red as well. Let's go ahead and buy Scrape. And that's my thing. I'm going to spend 3 to get rid of a card. And I'll give 1 to the other player so that that player can do that stuff as well. So I'm going to buy the Seeing Red. And I'm going to buy this Distilled Chaos. All right, so these go away. I have to choose a card to get rid of. Go ahead and drop a Strike. Okay, so these go away. And, Well, I'm going into a campfire, so I'm going to upgrade anyways. So I'm not going to shuffle up yet. Okay, so these can be discarded. Those will be discarded as well. And flipping this back over. All right, so now it's a campfire. So each one of us is going to upgrade because we're just about full health. I can't remember if I bumped that up from the previous combat or not. I don't think so. All right, so then the question is, I'm going to, yeah, dual cast is going to be free now. Okay, that definitely isn't even the question. Dual cast is very, very handy. All right, and then for my other player, what do I want to upgrade here? I could upgrade one of the Seeing Reds. Yeah, that'll get me some extra. All right, so now it is the boss battle. So we'll see how this goes with the boss. So the boss is going to be a Hexaghost. Oof. All right, so he's got some brutal stuff. He's got 75 hit points. He's going to be adding damage tokens to, or damage cards to our draw piles here each round. And he also has a lot of AoE attacks. Nasty. All right, so moving into our player turns, I get to draw 3 or 5 cards, and I get to start with a lightning cube. My other player, 5 cards. I got my 3 there. That, okay, so rolling. Let's see what we get. It's a 4, so that triggers my guy. I get to draw a card, and I get to do 1 damage with the boot. All right, I got my energy. I'm good to go. All right, let's see what happens here. So let's go ahead and start with this guy here. All right, so I don't have my big card yet. All right, so I do have the Seeing Red, so it's going to give me 2 more energy. Okay, and then I have, okay, so let's go ahead and do Bash first. That's going to cost me 2, so bringing me back down to 3. It's going to do 4 damage to him, and it's going to give him a broken heart. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's down to 70. And then I'm going to do the Strike Plus. So that's going to do 4 damage to him because of the broken heart. So 66. That costs 1. And then I'm going to do 1 strike for 1 damage. I'm going to do once per combat. Do 2 more damage there, and I might as well get a defend. And the question is, do I risk it and hope that one of the next 3 cards, I got a lot of cards left here. I think I'll wait 1 round just in case. All right, we'll see what happens with that. On to the other guy. Okay, so got some good stuff here. All right, so he doesn't have any of that. So I'm going to start with the dual cast. Lets me invoke an orb twice. So I'm going to do 4 damage with the lightning. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to spend 1 to do Channel Lightning, which lets me add that back in. And I'm going to go ahead and gain a block. So down to 1 left. And then I'm going to do the Melter, which he doesn't have any, but it does 2 damage. All right, and that's all I can do for the moment, and then I'm going to do 1 more damage at the end of the round with that. And that's it. All right, so then he's going to go, so he's going to do 1 damage to each of us. We both have 1 block there, and then it does add a card here, puts into your discard pile. It's unplayable. At the end of your turn, take 1 damage if this is in your hand. Okay. Oop, I gotta mark it. All right, so this next one's really brutal. It's gonna be doing 2 damage to both of us twice. Youch. All right, so we get our 3 energy back. We draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, I got 5 cards left after this. And then we roll. It's a 1, so nothing triggers. Okay, so let's see if I would have played that card, would I have gotten? Oh, Soul Slash. Nope, I would not have gotten it. All right, so the likelihood of me pulling it here is pretty high, so I will probably pop this at this point here. All right, so let's go ahead and start with my player here. So this one lets me exhaust to gain 1, because I have to spend 1 to do it. And then I'll do Cleave, which is 1. It does 2 damage to him. That does not get exhausted. And I'll do Sever Soul. That is 2 energy, and it's going to do 4 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. It lets me exhaust 1 or 2 cards. I'll exhaust a strike card. And then I'm going to do 1 to get a block. All right. Then I'm going to pop the Distilled Chaos. So this lets me draw 3 cards and immediately play them in any order for 0 energy. All right. So, all right, I got my big one. Okay, so it doesn't matter the order, so I'm going to get 1 there, and I'm going to do 8 damage to him. All right, so it's back down to 2. He's down to 42. Okay, that is everything for him, and I'll be able to block at least 1 round of damage. Now I'm going to flip this over so I don't forget that I've already done that. All right, and then on my side, I'm going to do this one first. This will be Channel Dark. And then I'm going to do Scrape, which if the topmost card of your discard pile costs 0, return it to your hand. And it's going to do 2 damage to him. 1, 2. And then I'm going to do it again to get another dark. And then I'll do Claw, and it says deal 1 damage plus 1 damage if the topmost card of your discard pile costs 0, which it does. So he's down to 38 now. And then I will spend 2, 1, 2 to do Doom and Gloom. This is a 2 damage attack. And it channels a dark, which basically has me spend something, or I have to evoke one of them. So I'm going to invoke a darkness, which does 3 more damage. 1, 2, 3. And a strike to do 1 more damage. All right, and then I do 1 damage at the end of combat or the end of the round with my lightning. So I got him down to 31. All right, so he's going to do 2 separate attacks at 2 damage apiece. So I block the first and take 2 on the second one. He's going to take all 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we both take another fire. All right, so that's going to ramp up now. So now it's going to be doing 2 fire to both of us. So we got to get through him here. All right, so there's 5. For my turn, I get 3 energy. And there's 2 for me. I have to shuffle my cards, so now I have a chance of starting to take damage in here. It's the only bad part about having a thin deck. I'm going to go down quick with this guy if I don't do enough. All right, so 3 cards. Okay, and then he gets 3 energy, and then we're going to roll. It's a 3, so he gets to draw 3 cards. Oh no. And that's it. That's all that gets triggered. I needed high numbers. I needed 4s and 5s. All right. So let's go ahead and start with him. Let's see if I... All right, so I did not draw any of those effects yet. So what do I got here? So it's a 3, so I'm going to go ahead and start off with this one. It's a 0 cost. It does 1 damage to him. And then all right, so I'm going to do recursion. So that lets me invoke an orb. So I'm going to do a dark orb, and then I channel that orb that I invoked. So I'm going to do 3 damage to him. So he's down to 27. And then so far I haven't spent anything, so I'm going to do Doom and Gloom. This is 2 points. 1, 2. It's a 2 damage attack, and it also channels a dark, which basically means that I have to spend 1. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do 3 damage there. I've got 1 left. Okay. So he's not doing physical damage this turn. He's just going to be adding more cards. So I'm going to do Ball Lightning as my last attack. It does 1 damage, and it channels lightning. So I'm going to convert that dark to lightning and do 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. So he's down to 18 hit points. So there's nothing else I can do at the moment. All right, on to my other player here. So he's going to take a damage because of that. Okay, take 1 damage, so that'll be in my hand, so I'm going to just take it now. And then I don't have much to play on for him. All right. So I'm going to do a power to get that. I'm going to do weak spot because the die is on a 1, 2, or 3. I get to use this, and it gives me a strength. And I'll do a strike. Not a great round. My other player was way better this round. All right, so then I get 1 of those, and he gets to do, he's adding 2 more. I'm not going to live too much longer with this. All right, so next round he's doing a lot. All right, he's down to 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5. 3 energy. 3 energy and no block. All right, rolling is a 4. All right, so I get to draw a card. I don't know if that's good or bad. And on a 4, he deals a damage. All right, so let's see what my guy up here has. If I have anything that's gonna... The last card, okay, so it wasn't not a detrimental card. All right, at the end of my turn, I am going to take a damage there. But I got a lot of stuff here. All right. So I can actually finish him here. Question is, what do I need to do? So I'm going to let the other player go first and see what he can do first, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I'm going to do this one first. It's a 0 cost card. It does 1 damage, so he's down to 15. And then I'm going to do scrape. So it says, if the top card of your discard pile is 0, return it to your hand. So I get to return this to my hands and then play that one. So that's going to do 2 more. Then I play this again. It does another one. That doesn't cost anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and channel lightning. Then I'm going to switch it out for the dark. So I'm going to do 3 more damage with dark. 1, 2, 3. So he's down to 9 hit points. And I have 2... Or I should have 1 left. I forgot. I didn't pay for that. All right, so then I'm going to do a strike and do 1 more damage to him there. So he's down to 8, and that is all I can do. So at the end of my turn, I'm going to be doing, or at the end of the round, I'm going to be doing 3 to him. So now I know with this player, I don't have to spend all my cards to do so. So I'm just going to do the bludgeon, which is going to do 8. That actually finishes him off because of the strength. So that's all I had to do. And that was all my attack. All right, so I was able to finish him off. All right, so then I get to remove all of those fire cards from my hand. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yikes. Okay. All right, so next round he probably would have gotten, yep, I would have drawn 2 more of those. So that would have been 2 damage, and I was about to take 3 more damage from him here. So that would have finished him off because I didn't have any block. And he would have gotten 5 block to help him out next turn. So brutal. All right, so then it's on to rewards. So each of our players would get 3 coins. Our players each get a royal relic. So first off, I have the cursed key. That doesn't sound good. Start of the turn, I gain an energy. When obtained, gain 2 curses. Oh man, I don't think I like that much. So I gotta pull a curse. All right, so clumsy, it's unplayable and ethereal. Not sure what that does exactly. And the last card is unplayable. If this card is removed from your deck, lose 2 HP. It's Parasite. Okay, so they just get added into my deck and they're filler cards. They don't actually do anything. Okay, so that's that one. And the other one is Sleuza. Start a turn, gain an energy. You cannot gain potions. Those are not great cards. All right, and then we each get to gain a rare card. So for this guy, he gets the Fiend Fire. Exhaust your hands. Deal 1 damage for each other card exhausted in this way. And then I exhaust this card. Okay, so it's just like a hand clearer. Demon Form. At start of your turn, gain strength. Okay, so this is a power card. So that's more of a long-term kind of thing. And Juggernaut. Whenever you gain block, deal 1 damage. And that's a power as well. Well, I guess I'll go Juggernaut. Okay, and on the other player, 1, 2, 3. All right, so I've got Seek. Search your draw pile for 1 card, put that card into your hand, and then shuffle your draw pile exhaust. So it's a 1 and it's a 0 cost. Okay. This is a 5. Holy smokes. It's a 10 attack, costs 1 less for each power you have in play. So I really need some powers to pull that one off. And Thunder Strike, deal 4 damage across as an area effect for each lightning orb you have. Oh. Yeah, I think I'll do that one. The 4 attack versus the 10. Those are both, all 3 of those cards are amazing. But yeah, Thunder Strike, I have high potential here for doing some serious damage across the board with that. So I like that. It does cost all 3 of my energy though, but I am actually having 4 energy now. So. Well, I was able to pull off a pretty solid victory there, and I've gotten some really good cards, I think. Now, depending upon what Act 2 looks like, this could be good or bad, I don't know. But I hope you found the video helpful. Let me know in the comments down below if you noticed if I did anything wrong. I love hearing from you and learning more about these different games and making sure that I'm doing everything correct. I am just human, so I do make mistakes, but I would love to hear from you in the comments down below as well. Let me know what you thought. If this is one that you have and what your thoughts are on the game, I'm having a really good time with this one so far, and I'm looking forward to diving into Act 2. Let me know again in the comments down below if you want to see any other videos around this. Again, whether another teaching or a teaching video or another playthrough, you want to see some of the later acts in the game being played as well. Love to hear from you, and until next time, I'll see you later.